So now we get into more of the other things, kind of, I guess, the more political leaning things that Mozilla gets into. And, one of these I thought was up, but anyway. Um, Interesting. So, avoiding misinformation online. This is kind of like one of those. The News Literacy Project is a nonprofit that works with educators across the U.S. to teach the next generation how to identify credible news sources. We recently worked with them to explore how Gen Z consumes information online. So, basically, back in 2022, they are going over like how to identify, giving resources on how to identify misinformation. So let's see, I believe Git Pocket. So here's the article that they link right here. And basically here it's like, few rights are more important than the right to vote, but year after year, misinformation and disinformation have played a larger role in disrupting elections and causing confusion. As of the 2022 midterm elections approach, voters need to be aware of the havoc that falsehoods, hoaxes, and conspiracy theories can wreak and their potential to derail our democratic process. So this is important because we've seen things come out like years later, like even more than 2 years later, after like an election and things, that are like, oh yeah, that was a real thing, by the way. And it's kind of, you wonder why people distrust certain news sources and things like that. So you've got different articles that they link here. So like, what? Yeah, News Literacy Project, the LA Times, the Brooklyn Institution. Let's see. You've got Newsy, Election Integrity Partnership. I don't know who those are. The New York Times, Time, NBC News, and again, the News Literacy Project. Now, they say it's like a nonpartisan education nonprofit, but when you pick certain sources, you do kind of want to go into some of the areas where people would consider them less credible in some ways. Because sometimes those people do have nuggets that are being left out from other news sources. And even then, you can't flat out trust the LA Times or the New York Times or even the News Literacy Project to tell you everything. You still have to verify those things. They're going to have inaccuracies. I remember, who was it? I have the book. I bought the book. It's like, Trust Me, I'm Lying, and it talked about media manipulation. And one of the things that he talked about in it, Ryan Holiday, is the fact that a lot of news places, you'll have a Wikipedia article. They'll write the Wikipedia article in such a way to make it sound the way they want it to. And then a news outlet will come in, read the Wikipedia article, quote the Wikipedia article in some sense or fashion, and then the Wikipedia article will then go and cite that news source as a source for it. So it turns into this circular motion. So every news outlet is going to have its spin. Just because, and when you say someone is going to have their spin, it's going to be partisan in many senses. And when you see a news outlet that says, trust me, you don't need to go to the sources, then that seems kind of disingenuous. I am more likely to trust someone that says, don't just trust my word, but go and look for the sources yourself. Go look and do your own research. Verify what I've said, and if I'm wrong, I will correct myself. I'm more likely to trust those people than some of these people that don't do that and don't even correct their stuff thereafter. So, like, half of these news sources, I would dare say, are like, and half the news sources don't even cite sources either way for some of their things when they're pulling from other places. But anyway, so kind of like somewhat off that strain, but kind of in there, is the internet deserves a better answer to social. So you'll remember that Mozilla's mission was an open and free internet. And linking to other sources that can help you verify what you're reading is a very good way to do that. So skipping, let's see, browsers are a critical part of the human experience on the internet and will always be core to our work at Mozilla. Our mission will always be to make the internet better for everyone. Because of that, just like the browsers over the last quarter century, we need to show a better way forward in problematic areas over the next 25 years. And today I'm thrilled to share a new experimentation for us, social. Love it or hate it, there's no denying that social media is a huge part of our lives. At best, it's how we connect with one another across space and time, discover new ideas, and learns what's happening in the world and get introduced to content that makes us feel. Let's see, provide services, public. It's helped chip away at traditional power dynamics, giving a public platform to voices that haven't had one before and offering a way for us to have influence over the powers and decision makers that shape our lives. We should be our own ultimate decision makers, but look at the risk of being both dramatic and cliched. Social is broken. Most of those great things I just mentioned are, well, none of them are working super well right now. So last year we announced we're dipping our toes into the world of Mastodon. Today we're expanding Mozilla.social to a private beta. We've put a lot of work into getting to the stage, but there's a lot more to do before we can open it up more broadly. You'll notice a big difference in our content moderation approach compared to other major social media platforms. We're not building another self-declared neutral platform. We believe that far too often neutrality is used as an excuse to allow behaviors and content that's designed to harass and harm those from communities that have always faced harassment and violence. Our content moderation plan is rooted in goals and values expressed in our Mozilla manifesto: human dignity, inclusion, security, individual expression, and collaboration. So the free and open internet one is not included in this for some reason. We understand that individual expression is often seen, particularly in the US, as an absolute right to free speech at any cost, even if that cost is harm to others. We do not subscribe to this view. We want to be clear about this. We're building an awesome sandbox for us all to play in, but it comes with rules governing how we engage with one another. You're completely free to go elsewhere if you don't like them. So I'd rather hear someone like hating on me over the internet than having someone show up at my door threatening me, in all honesty. Because speech is an outlet to express yourself. And when you stifle free speech, you end up building up, in essence, an emotional bomb that is getting primed to explode, and the way that stifled speech explodes is in violence. And so what we try to do is we try to allow everyone to speak, because that free speech allows them to express that, and then we argue our opinions on it rather than get violent with other people for disagreeing with us or censoring them for disagreeing with us. We take their claims and we argue against the arguments rather than the person. What's most important to us is that people who use our instance feel like their experience brings back more of what makes social great and reduces the muck that has made it horrible. So most of the muck that's made it horrible is probably the algorithms in all reality. And the algorithms have basically accentuated the crazy that happens on social media because they're trying to keep you staying engaged. And that's the problem. And by stifling free speech, you end up kind of creating a different problem. You create an echo chamber rather than creating a place where people can express themselves and a more free and open internet, like in the Mozilla manifesto that they conveniently left out. So this page seems to have disappeared in the time which is interesting. Huh. It pulled up like earlier. Can I get it to pull up over here? What? Let me take a second and start searching for this. Okay, I swear this link worked like an hour ago. Like I was prepping everything up and this link worked. Um, let's see. It was there. Do we? Ooh, I'm gonna go search for an archive. Okay, I think I found one. Luckily, Mozilla apparently archived it, so we can still go through it, but that link did work earlier. There's no question that social media played a role in the siege and takeover of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Remember, they were talking about, a free and open internet and looking for disinformation, okay? Since then, there has been significant focus on deplatforming Trump. By all means, the question of when to deplatform a head of state is a critical one. Among many that must be addressed, when should platforms make these decisions? Is that decision-making power theirs alone? But as reprehensible as the actions of Trump are, the rampant use of the internet to foment violence, hate, and reinforce white supremacy is about more than one personality. Trump is certainly not the first politician to exploit the architecture, and he won't be the last. We need solutions that won't start. Changing these dangerous dynamics requires more than just temporary silencing or permanent removal of bad actors from social media platforms. Additional precise and specific actions must also be taken. Reveal who is paying for advertisements and how much they are paying and who is being targeted. Commit to meaningful transparency of platform algorithms so we know how and what content is being amplified to whom and the associated impact. Turn on by default the tools to amplify factual voices over disinformation. Work with independent researchers to facilitate in-depth studies of the platform's impact on people in our societies and what we can do to improve things. So the thing is, when you're talking about amplifying factual voices over disinformation, you are amplifying legacy news sources that will take and clip sound bites to spin it their way. It takes a lot of things out of context, and Mozilla is basically throwing the context out the window completely. There's a lot more, even since this article was written, that has been revealed. And the thing is that Mozilla is talking here about deplatforming when they say their manifesto is all about an free and open internet. But these things, I do like the idea of transparency, who's paying for political advertisements and who's being targeted. What's the transparency? We need transparency in algorithms and how those work. Working with independent researchers, like we had the whole dump of the Twitter files. Those were independent researchers and journalists going through all those records, going over the different things that Twitter did. Okay. Transparency of algorithms. That would be wonderful. Like, even Twitter's algorithm, now X, has been open sourced, I believe. Reveal who's paying for advertisements and who's being targeted. The thing is, a lot of these solutions, I think, with the political bias that I'm seeing here, would probably end up kind of throwing shade in the face of whoever wrote this, Mitchell Baker, the writer of this particular piece. Because, yes, it would be bad for people on the right, but it would also be bad for people on the left, because you're seeing the bias that they're trying to advertise to. But anyway, I'm not the only one that has, the same issue. So like you can see here on the Brave subreddit, I've made the jump from Brave to Brave after being a Firefox user for over 15 years. I'm ashamed to say it took me this long. My reason for sticking with Firefox was to support software diversity and growing number of Chromium browsers. Mozilla talking about abusing their power in the open while trying to say they are for safe and fair internet with better privacy is strong red pill on how rotten Mozilla has become. After further research and hearing a few good arguments, it's clear to me now that the open source nature of Chromium does more to support software diversity than I led myself to believe. I suppose the point of this post is to show there are people like me who are outdated on the status of Firefox, and with a little outreach, most Firefox users would better align with Brave's philosophy in 2021, which drove us to use Firefox over Chrome for all these years. I would say that another good option would be like Florp or LibreWolf, but anyway, just switched as well. I don't want every browser to be Chromium-based, but I also don't want to support a corrupt organization with overpaid do-nothings like the Mozilla Foundation. They laid off engineers to cut costs, but somehow managed to find the budget to bloativate about stuff not related to their core mission of making a browser. I wouldn't even mind the SJW stuff if Mozilla was independently profitable and not dependent on Google for handouts. But to fire engineers to push this? Ugh. Okay. Very unhappy people. So here we've got another one that linked to that original link that is somehow broken. And to reinforce white supremacy. Anyway, the illusion that censorship, thoughts, and opinions can simply make them disappear is absurd. You have to confront and discuss other opinions. I've made this point. Instead, the internet is divided and each side becomes increasingly radical. Firefox goes the wrong way here, which many leftists will probably be happy about, but that will not improve anything in the end if it will have the opposite effect. See, like I said, you have to argue with the opinions rather than just saying, goodbye, we're going to censor you. So honestly, what's written in the article isn't too bad, but holy did they pick the spiciest title. The damn CEO sat down, picked a title like this, and thought to herself, yep, this portrays Mozilla in a good light. Boggles my mind that this is the person behind important decisions. If you're going to sit there and suck the company dry of any kind of resources, at least try to think of the consequences when you go on to write your shit posts. And anyways, and they always seem to slip in the we need to silence misinformation in every one of these political takes. It just doesn't sit right with me no matter what way I look at it. Straight up advocating for making the internet controlled by neoliberal multi-billion-dollar pro-war corporates like Disney, ABC, and Comcast, MSNBC, everything that doesn't support the neoliberal war machine is labeled fringe. So yeah, it's kind of the point of here Mozilla says, oh, we don't believe in censorship, we're fighting it, and then they go out and do this repeatedly. So this was 2021. You saw them do the same thing in 2024. After, and in between, they wrote an article saying, oh, open internet, this, that, and the other. But here they are. Basically switching back and forth between, hey, we don't like censorship, to, yeah, we like censorship. You simply cannot promote a free and open internet in one breath while advocating for deplatforming with the next. That pretty well sums it up, but anyway. Let's see. Yeah, this is another Brave community post. See, following the Capitol incident, Mozilla began advocating filtering of information, separating what they considered factual from whatever was offensive, and monitoring. Yeah, you get the idea. They're sitting here saying I've reiterated it so many times already. If you liked the content, if you enjoyed it, if you think I deserve it, like, comment, subscribe, leave any criticisms you have or what have you. I appreciate it. Feed that algorithm, like I said, and I will see you guys in the next one.